Nobody warns you about this part. They tell you about the hard work. They tell you about the sacrifice. They talk about early mornings and late nights and the grind that separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. But nobody sits you down and tells you that the loneliest stretch of your life might be the exact season when you are growing the most. Morris was deep in that season, and he had no idea how to talk about it. From the outside, Morris looked like a man with his life together. He had a clear goal, a work ethic that most people would envy, and a quiet discipline that was slowly, steadily building something real. He was 2 years into growing his creative agency, the dream he had finally stopped postponing, and things were beginning to move. But inside the walls of that progress, something else was happening that nobody saw. His friendships were disappearing. Not dramatically, not with arguments or falling outs or anything worth explaining. Just quietly the way smoke clears from a room. The guys he used to hang out with every weekend were still there, same bars, same conversations, same jokes from 3 years ago. But Morris had changed. His mind was somewhere else now. He'd sit at the table with them and feel like he was watching the night through glass, present in body but somewhere else entirely. And the more he grew, the wider that gap became. The hardest part wasn't the loneliness itself. It was the guilt that came with it. Morris didn't think he was better than anyone. He just wanted different things now, and wanting different things felt like a kind of quiet betrayal he couldn't explain out loud. So he said nothing. He kept showing up when he could, laughing at the right moments and then going home to work in silence until midnight. He told himself this was just the cost of the dream, that it would get easier once he arrived somewhere. He just had to hold on, but holding on was getting heavy. One evening, exhausted and a little hollow, Morris found himself doing what tired people do, scrolling aimlessly, looking for nothing. He stumbled across an old recorded interview with a musician he'd followed for years. The interviewer asked the musician what the hardest part of his come-up had been. Morris expected the usual answer: rejection, money, the industry. Instead, the musician paused, looked off to the side for a moment, and said something that stopped Morris mid-scroll. He said, "The loneliness of growth is not a sign that something is wrong with your path. It's a sign that your path is real." Morris put his phone down and stared at the ceiling for a long time. He had been reading his loneliness as a warning, as evidence that he was doing something wrong, losing something important, becoming someone cold and disconnected. But what if it wasn't a warning at all? What if it was simply the geography of growth, the unavoidable distance that opens up when you start moving and others stay still? Not because anyone was bad, not because the old friendships had no value, but because real growth changes you, and change always creates space before it creates connection. That realization didn't fix everything. Morris still had quiet evenings and empty weekends, but something in him settled. He stopped apologizing internally for the distance. He stopped trying to shrink himself back into rooms where he no longer fit. And slowly, almost without trying, he began finding people who were in the same stretch of road, other builders, other dreamers, other people who understood the specific silence of becoming something. The table wasn't empty anymore. It just had different people around it. Here is what no one tells you about the journey toward something great. The loneliness is not the enemy. It is the filter. It is the season that shows you who you're truly becoming and quietly clears space for the people who belong in the next chapter of your life. It's going to feel isolating. It's going to feel like loss. But you are not losing your life. You are outgrowing a version of it. Keep going. The right people are already on their way. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it today.